London marked 3 years since Queen Elizabeth's passing with gun salutes and solemn faces. Yet inside the palace walls, a harsher echo carried farther than any cannon. King Charles, the quiet reformer, drew a hard line. Archie and Lilibet keep their titles, but the doors of Buckingham Palace stay closed. No balcony, no garden photos, no quiet afternoons with the cousins. For Harry, this cut deep. The boy who grew up in those corridors now stands outside them, his children with him, their future defined by absence. Meghan sees the move as lethal to the Sussex brand. William sees it as necessary. Charles sees survival. The message is simple. The crown will not bend to California. It will not be leveraged by interviews, memoirs, or streaming contracts. It will not trade privacy for peace. This is not cruelty. It is calculation. A king consolidating. A father choosing duty over sentiment. And for Harry, it is the coldest answer yet. The monarchy moves on with or without you. The date mattered. 3 years to the day since the late Queen's death. London paused. The nation remembered. Gun salutes rolled across gray skies. The balcony filled with working royals, a portrait of continuity. But the empty spaces told the real story. Harry's children were not there. Not in the crowd, not behind the scenes, not on any guest list. Insiders say Harry still hoped for something modest. A quiet invite, a moment at Sandringham, a summer walk at Balmoral, anything that stitched his children into the family scrapbook. Instead, he met a closed door and a clear signal. The new reign will not mirror the old. Elizabeth was a blanket of tradition. Charles is a scalpel. He trims, he streamlines, he protects the brand of the crown by limiting those who represent it. The anniversary framed the choice. Unity in public, boundaries in private. The message reverberated through every ceremony. The monarchy honors its past by managing its future, and that future no longer includes casual access for the Sussex children. Sources say Harry pleaded, not for roles, not for duties, for recognition, for access, for ordinary family moments in extraordinary places. Playdates, garden photos, a grandfather's time. He wanted them near the legacy he can't quite let go. Charles's reply was firm. Titles are legal, privileges are not. The palace is not a halfway house. It is an institution that must guard itself. So the answer was no. No invitations, no soft inclusion, no quiet exceptions that later become loud expectations. Harry, we're told, took it hard. Tears, not for cameras, but in private. Because the decision isn't just about 2 children, it's about him. If Archie and Lilibet are outsiders, then he is cut adrift for good. He imagines the balcony without them. Trooping the color without them, Christmas without them. Photos will roll on, polished and perfect. His children will not be in them. That reality hurts more than headlines ever could. It confirms a fear he's carried since he left. Freedom can feel like exile when home no longer opens its doors. To grasp the force of this moment, rewind to 2020. Harry and Meghan stepped away. They wanted control, they wanted safety, they wanted a new script. But the world they built relied on 2 things at once. Royal credibility and Hollywood reach. Royal when needed, celebrity when useful, titles for stature, deals for dollars. The palace watched. Trust eroded. The Oprah interview landed like thunder. The series followed. The memoir detonated. Private moments became public material. Every hug, every argument, every secret, a segment. The result is today's decision. No more half in, half out. No more blurring lines. The monarchy will not play co-star in another narrative arc. Charles's stance says it plainly. The institution cannot be a content pipeline. William's stance goes further. Stop problems before they grow. Harry hoped his children might bridge 2 worlds. Charles just removed the bridge. The crown protects itself by closing doors. For the Sussexes, the price of independence is clarity. There is no gentle middle anymore. Look at the contours and you see William's imprint. He thinks in decades, not days. He wants a monarchy that is lean, modern, and hard to rattle. That means fewer faces on the balcony, fewer variables in the headlines, and zero tolerance for leaks that turn into storylines. Archie and Lilibet are not the problem. The ecosystem around them is. Hollywood agents, streaming pitches, endless speculation about roles they do not hold. William sees the risk and cuts the thread now. Early. Cleanly. Before expectations calcify. He is not playing the big brother. He is playing the future king. Protect the brand. Shield the line of succession. Keep the story simple. The working royals are the family's core, full stop. Charles delivers the message. William architects the policy. Harry reads it as betrayal. William reads it as duty. And the public, watching the balcony fill without the Sussex branch, reads it as the next chapter of a monarchy that intends to survive the century intact. Meghan understands optics. She understands value. The Sussex identity lives at the intersection of royalty and celebrity. Remove proximity to the palace, and the equation shifts. Fewer angles to pitch. Fewer reasons for platforms to pay top dollar. In that world, access isn't about balcony waves. It's about legitimacy, about narrative leverage, about being close enough to the crown to tell the story, yet far enough to claim independence. Charles just snapped that thread. Spotify stumbled. Netflix wobbled. Now the royal side of the seesaw drops away. That's the nightmare. Not tiaras and trumpets, but dwindling leverage on the conference call. So the response is anger. Push harder, negotiate, try again. But the palace's silence is the strategy. No public spat, no counter-narrative, just absence that speaks louder than statements. Without a palace bridge, the Sussex brand risks becoming ordinary, not disgraced, just less rare. In Hollywood, that's lethal. The glow fades fastest when the source of light is shut off at the wall. For Harry, this is not a press cycle. It's identity. He is the boy who marched behind a mother's coffin, the soldier who found purpose in service, the prince who laughed from palace windows with his brother. He left to protect his family, but he never stopped wishing they could still belong. The vision was simple: California life with British roots, a door they could open at Christmas, a garden they could share in summer. Now that door is locked. He scrolls through images of George, Charlotte, and Louis at the palace. Cohesive, curated, secure. He imagines his own children far away, framed by palm trees and flashes. Two childhoods splitting for good. The contrast stings. It says legacy is not inherited by title alone. It is granted by access and trust. He wanted freedom without losing the thread. He got freedom and watched the thread cut. Tears follow because the refusal is final in a way few things are. He cannot fix this with a statement. He cannot mend it with a visit. He can only accept that choices have consequences, and some doors, once closed, do not open again. There is a softer voice in the room. Catherine sees the strategy, but she also sees the people. She remembers Harry at his best. Loyal, funny, protective. She worries about cousins who may never share a childhood. She asks careful questions. What are we building? Who gets lost along the way? She will not break ranks. She supports her husband. She respects the king. Yet sources say she urges caution at the edges. Leave room for mercy. Leave room for future grace. But policy has momentum now, and William's resolve is iron. Catherine's notes land softly on a table already stacked with plans. Her presence reminds the world that this is not just brand management. It is family. And families leave scars when they make hard choices. History will chart the wins and losses. Catherine will count the human costs. In that balance, she hopes the door is not welded shut forever. She knows some wounds only close when someone finally chooses kindness over strategy. Strip away the noise and you find a stark equation. The monarchy endures by setting limits. It cannot be everywhere. It cannot be everything. It cannot become a subplot in someone else's season arc. Charles knows this. William was raised to enforce it. So the institution contracts. Fewer hands for the wave, fewer names on the program, fewer opportunities for drama to take root. Archie and Lilibet will grow up American, with titles that sit on a shelf and a palace that sits an ocean away. The balcony will fill without them and the image will harden into the new normal. For Harry, the lesson is brutal. You can leave the palace. The palace will not follow. For Meghan, the stakes are business as much as heart. For William, this is proof of concept. For Charles, it is legacy, an institution left stronger, tighter, harder to shake. History won't remember every headline. It will remember the choice. Crown over blood, duty over sentiment, silence over spectacle. And one day, when another generation steps onto that balcony, the absence will barely register. The strategy will have become tradition. The door will remain closed, not out of anger, but out of design. That, in the end, is the power of a monarchy that chooses to endure.